Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to the PWTorch Fireside Chat, a pretty big preview edition of the show. It's Tuesday, October 18th. I'm PWTorch Assistant Editor Zack Heydorn. Thanks, everybody, for being with me. Appreciate it, as always. We've got a big show today because it's a big night in professional wrestling. There's a head-to-head battle, the Wednesday Night Wars, NXT versus AEW. Move on to Tuesday nights. The MLB playoffs preempting AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night on TBS. So we get a dose of AEW Dynamite tonight, Tuesday, and NXT. That's their day. That's their bread and butter. So it's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting night for sure. And we've got a lot to get to. I want to preview both shows with our time here. So if you are joining us live, drop your comments into the comments section. Questions, comments, concerns. Azan, what's up? Thanks for being with us today. I really appreciate it, man. So we'll preview both shows in full. We'll talk about kind of the pros and cons of each one going up against the other one. And then we'll just kind of like pick through both shows. Before we get into the madness of tonight, let's take care of a little bit of business. Please like our video, subscribe to the PWTorch YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Very much appreciate it. And we've got new content going up every single day live. Usually around this time, we preview all the major shows live right here on YouTube. And then we also have our flagship YouTube show on Thursday afternoons, 4 Eastern. Myself and Tyler Sage, we break down all the news of the week in professional wrestling. There's quite a bit of news that broke today that I'm sure we'll get to on Thursday. So you can check that out. And then, of course, the channel is stocked with other just really great content, interviews, different content from Wade. We've got our watch-along content and a host of other things. So hopefully you guys subscribe to the channel. We'd really very much appreciate it. Thank you in advance. Amos, good to see you there. And Zach, good to see you as well, my friend. Thanks for joining us. So we'll start off with AEW because I think it's without question the bigger show. Just because of the magnitude of the main event when you really break it down. And then when you compare it to WWE trotting out their developmental B show, it is what it is. That's just the reality. And Tony Khan did a nice job of stocking up the show in a way that I think makes people or will make people want to search for it on Tuesday night when they may be more likely to just say, forget it. Like, I'm not going to watch. It's too confusing. I don't know what channel is it on, what time, blah, blah, blah. Like, that happens sometimes when you move days. That is a risk that comes along with, having to alter your programming schedule because being preempted by something else. You just don't know how many people are going to go and find you on the new day. Well, Jon Moxley versus Hangman Page for the AEW World Championship. That's something that you go out of your way to see. And the thing of it is, I didn't really think that until last week's promo. Last week on the preview show for Dynamite, I said that we really needed to get that go home segment from Adam Page and Jon Moxley. And boy, did we ever. We really got just a tremendous promo that I think really defined this match in a way that it needed to be defined. It needed that kind of story. It needed that kind of heat. Prior to that promo segment last week, you just had kind of Moxley and Page squaring off, and that was that. No real intrigue there. But after last week, like, there's significant intrigue in this match now. And then you add into it the fact that MJF has been teasing, cashing in his casino ladder match chip to get a world title opportunity. That's just another layer of intrigue that goes on. That goes on to this match tonight. So AEW really, I think, just blows NXT out of the water is because of this match in particular. Like, I think that they'll win the ratings battle handily. I don't know how much you're going to be able to say about that, like other than they won. But it's if you put AEW Dynamite up against Monday Night Raw or up against SmackDown, like then okay, then we have got more of an apples to apples comparison. But that said, hey, they're competing tonight. Triple H, Paul Levesque is very much competing tonight, loading up that show, not just with big NXT segments, but with main roster WWE talent as well. So that's interesting. Like, he does not want to lose this battle, even though I think he's going to. So that's there too. But Moxley and Adam Page, this one is going to, like I said, it's going to be an interesting match. I think it's going to be a heck of a match. I don't know, Azan, whether this match opens and closes the show. There's pros and cons to both. If you open the show with it, you're not clock watching, really. You know what I mean? Like, but if you close, you're going, all right, well, we know the finish has to come in the next 2, 3, 4 minutes because of the fact that they have to be out by 10 Eastern. You don't have that if you put it on at the beginning. Someone said in the comments that Zach chimed in here. The Yankee game, the Yankee-Cleveland game, AEW is going to benefit from the lead-in that game provides. And so for that reason, you may want to put the world title match on early there to capitalize on that audience that you have. So that's something to consider too. But bottom line, though, I put this match on last. I think it's the AEW world title. AEW has to start defining that championship as the championship, period. And, for better or worse, the perception around world title matches is that they main event shows. And so I think you have to have trust in the rest of your show that it will carry the audience until that main event segment, because throwing it on, at the beginning, it's not that it defines it down. I don't want to say that because I don't think it does. And there's a very good reason to put it on first. But if you want to build that credibility and kind of that kind of historical lineage of the belt, I call me old fashioned, but you got to have it defended in main events. Like that's what you do. That's where the world title belongs. That's where the world championship belongs. So that's where I think we're gonna end up with things. Welcome to a new batch of listeners, Hassan and Sean. Pleasure as always. Thanks for joining us, Sean and Hassan. So as far as who wins, man, it's kind of a tough call, but kind of not. And I'm putting over Jon Moxley, obviously. Like, it's just not his time to lose the title. Like, he's too hot right now. Just signed a 5-year deal. He's got all the momentum in the world. I don't think you derail that for any reason tonight. And that includes MJF. Moxley needs this victory. Yes, it's going to set Adam Page back. Maybe you get an angle out of this, and Page goes a different direction because of how this match finishes. You hope so, right? Because this again will be Adam Page coming up short, and he's somebody that you do want to protect, just not at the expense of Jon Moxley. And this is the problem with putting this match on right now. For as intriguing as it is, and for as much as I believe it will move the needle, I just don't know if you want to have to put yourself in a position to choose who goes over in this instance, whether it's Moxley or whether it's Page. It's a tough call. It's a tough call to make because both guys are important. But the bottom line is Jon Moxley is more important and most important, I'd say. And so Moxley goes over clean and ends the show, standing tall. That's how I do it. That you want to present your champion in that way. As far as the cash-in goes, no, I don't think we're going to get a cash-in tonight. Or at least I hope we don't. I think that would be, that'd be just, man, I say this And I don't mean to be snarky, but that'd be just so AEW right now to do that. Like an overly cute angle when you have a big time match to build for pay-per-view coming up in a handful of weeks, MJF versus Moxley. Like, get there organically, get there naturally. I just don't know why you have to hotshot this thing and do some sort of cash in to get to get MJF this title opportunity. It was always silly because MJF is going to always get a title opportunity. He's a top guy. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the cash in idea. I think you just go the organic route with this. You build the MJF versus Moxley, but not because of the cash in. And I think look, if you're MJF, I think you can cash in, call your shot a little bit, and I think that you can do that in a heelish way and say, hey, look, I wanted to wait this out to see who the champion was. And now I'm calling shot full gear. Moxley, it's going to be you and me. And then you build it like a regular match. You have MJF just totally heal it up on Moxley for 4 or 5 weeks or however long it is. And then you just make that audience just salivate at the notion of Moxley just kicking MJF's ass. Like, that's the match. That's how you sell it. I don't think you need the chip to do that. I think that's just too cute for the biggest match that you can put on right now with the people that you have in place in MJF and Jon Moxley. So, there you have it. MJF should call a shot. Yep, I agree. This is interesting as on. Hangman has nobody after currently, but maybe Brody King or Malachi Black. Yeah, I think that's interesting. And that's why I say I think you want to have something for Adam Page. Like, it's either been world title or drama with the Elite or Dark Order stuff. I mean, like, there hasn't been anything else really at all. Like, I think you got to get this guy into like some kind of like big time blood feud and see how hot you can get. Like, that's what I think you absolutely have to do with Adam Page. Get him into something. Yeah, Malachi Black is a perfect opponent for that, I think. He's middle of the card. He's somebody that Page can beat soundly in the end, and not really lose anything. If you're Black, and Page can get elevated with this, he can kind of find his footing again as a babyface. But you got to have something. You have to have something for him, and I hope that they do. I hope that they do. He's been around a lot of like drama, but he doesn't have a lot to show for that. And if he's going to do the job tonight, yeah, you want him to figure out a way to heat himself back up. Okay, if you have any other comments on the main event of Dynamite, drop them in the chat, and I'll get to them as we go along here and preview the show. A couple other segments that are announced for tonight's show. We got Renee Paquette is going to be interviewing Bryan Danielson and Wheeler Yuta. So that should be interesting for 2 reasons. One, I'm interested to see how Renee Paquette does. Not that I don't think she can do well. I think she's going to just blow it out of the water. But like, seeing in real time what she brings to the table, she can further storylines with how she interviews folks, how she reacts to those people that she's interviewing. And I think this type of sit-down environment is going to be better for that than last week, just in those backstage interview promos. This is going to be something where she's really going to be able to, find her footing and show the AEW audience what she can do in this role. So I'm excited to see where they go with this. My guess is they're going to address, Daniel Garcia, of course, the Daniel Garcia angle from last week. That, to me, that's where they're going. And I just am interested to see like what the story is, where they go with this, because the Daniel Garcia turn was so out of the blue and so out of left field, based on what they had done. And it at the time, it felt like a swerve just to swerve. And it still kind of feels that way. I think that there was more, maybe not more of, but a better story to tell with Daniel Garcia on the babyface track with Bryan Danielson's backing to kind of dethrone Chris Jericho at some point. And, we're not getting that story right now. And to Sean's point, Daniel Garcia's explanation on Rampage was kind of, it just made you just furrow the brow a little bit and go what? I was not a fan. I was not a fan either of how he addressed that. So, boy, we really need to see Danielson and Yuta kind of give that some juice and give the storyline, kind of a kick in the butt to get going if they're going to go that route. But I guess the bottom line here, guys, is I think you're swimming upstream, and whereas Tony Khan went with the Acclaimed, and let's hope so, Zach, because I find it so ironic that, that you're taking away something that got so hot. And look, it's over. Nobody can be confident about just how over that's gotten, right? Why shelve it? Why shelve it when it's this hot? So hopefully, yes, they come back. But getting back to the point, Garcia, whereas with the Acclaim, Tony Khan went with it, saw it bubbling up, saw it boiling, and then went with the Acclaimed. And now they're one of the hottest acts, one of the most over acts on the show. Well, I think he did the opposite with Daniel Garcia here. I think the momentum and the feedback that the audience was providing was positive for Daniel Garcia. And now it's like you're asking people to, don't feel that way about him. We're going back. We're going backwards. So I think you're swimming upstream again in that situation. But we'll see. Danielson's a good worker, and Paquette's a good worker. So they should be able to work some magic here to hopefully try to save where that storyline is. Also on the show, they're saying we hear from MJF. My guess is we just hear teases from a cash in, right? On Twitter, he's already posted a GIF of him, kind of moving his chips, his poker chips into the middle. So I think we get more of that, and then obviously we get something in the main event, or something, I guess I should say, in the world title match with him. Maybe not physically getting involved, but involved and hovering nonetheless. But outside of that, I don't think we get anything else from MJF unless there's some kind of second chapter to the William Regal involvement with MJF, which we saw kind of teased a couple weeks ago. So he's gonna be on the show. To what end? We'll have to find out. Okay. Also, we've got Death Triangle tonight going up against Orange Cassidy and Best Friends. This is one of those matches, guys, that I feel like is on once every 2 weeks, whether it's on Dynamite or whether it's on Rampage. This is just, we've seen so many iterations of this, whether it's Pac versus Orange Cassidy a couple times, whether it's Lucha Brothers against Best Friends, whether it's Orange Cassidy against one of the two Lucha Brothers. Somebody can go on a cage match and let me know how many times this combination of athletes have been together. And where's the context here? The match itself, you guys are already debating this in the chat. I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's going to be a fun match. There's no question. Fun match without a doubt. There's too much talent in the ring to not be a fun match, to not be good. But why do people care? This is an issue. This is an issue that I keep talking about. And Sean, good point. Why do people care? Tony Khan has to do a better job of that, of getting people to care about these matches, and not just because they're fun. Them being fun, look, it's AEW. They're going to have good matches up and down the card every night out, Rampage included. But that's not all there is. You have to have more than that. And this is one of those matches where I think that the history is there because they've been comboed up and partnered up in different kinds of matches for who knows how long. But even with all that history, it's hard to care because there's not a story there. It's just fun match after fun match after fun match. So I think, as fun as this match will be, it lacks intrigue because there's no context around it outside of the trios titles, which has it been a flop? I mean, I guess if you look at that question, Amos, in a vacuum, and you say to yourself, "Hey, have the trios titles been a flop?" I don't think you can answer that question with a no, with a straight face, So I think we can all be honest and transparent with that. But the thing that you have to recognize when saying that is they were dealt and thrown a major, major curveball. The first ever trios champions just, have not showed up and not been on TV, and no explanation as to why they're not on TV. So that threw a major, major wrench into, the trios championship scene, if you will. So I'm willing to give them a pass on the fact that the trios titles have flopped. It's not really, I don't think you can attribute that to Tony Khan booking the AEW trios titles a certain way. It's just you're kind of just 24 hours after you crown champions for the first time, you're kind of out there with nothing, with nothing to go with. So I kind of give him a pass on that, and we'll have to check back in 6 months' time or so, something like that. Good debate going on in the chat that I want to share with everybody on Orange Cassidy. Sean jumping in saying Orange Cassidy just should not have a title, in my opinion. Zach, why are you hating on OC, Sean? Why? Just why? I like him in the ring, but his character just for some reason doesn't do much for me. It's not a title character in my view. Yeah, and look, Orange Cassidy is an acquired taste. I think, Zach, that's a really fair assessment. I'm higher on him, Sean, than I think you are, just because I think, he's a different kind of guy. He's a different kind of talent, different kind of pro wrestler. But I don't think that's bad. I look to, are people connecting with him in a real way, or is it like a fad kind of way? Is this like a connection to Orange Cassidy, like people connected to Rusev Day, or like people connected to R-Truth? Or is it somebody that they're genuinely invested in? And when I kind of look back, across the history of AEW, there's been consistent investment in what Orange Cassidy is doing. So for that reason, I think he hits a little bit more than he misses. And well, there's some truth to this too, Sean, where the AEW fans connect with everything. I do want to say with Orange Cassidy that when I watch shows with a casual audience, and I've got family that watches wrestling because I have, or do because I am, and they all love Orange Cassidy to the last person. Super intrigued with the character and what it does. Maybe for the wrong reasons, maybe because you just think he's funny and he's quirky and he is all those things. I don't know. It certainly doesn't manifest in them watching the product more, right? Like they kind of like him when he comes on and it's funny. Ha ha. But I will say, to the other side of my argument here, that them liking him does not make them turn on the channel to watch him more often. So be that as it may. Also tonight, we've got Toni Storm versus Hikaru Shida for the interim AEW Women's World Championship. I'm looking forward to this match. I think it's a really compelling match from an in-ring perspective. That just like the trios match, I just wish it had more time to tell a story. Like they did an okay job. I'd grade them out at like a C as far as building this match up. Some of the Road to stuff and some of the videos that dropped yesterday on the AEW Twitter channel are stellar in terms of how they tell the story of this match between Storm and Shida. I don't know why that stuff doesn't make air. I just don't know why not. They're not that long. They should make air. They're that good. But they tell a decent story. And I think the match is going to be to be good. They have history tagging with each other recently, so it doesn't seem totally out of the blue. And I think there's a lot of other things hovering around this match too. You've got the Thunder Rosa factor. She's hovering around. Like, she's going to have to come back at some point, and you're going to want to do Toni Storm against Thunder Rosa and unify those world titles. So that has to happen. So that's hovering around this match. You've got Saraya and Britt Baker, whatever's happening with them, that's hovering around this match too. So it's intriguing for a lot of ways. I think they've done an okay job, but I just wish it had more. I wish people got to see the story more, because it's a good one. It's compelling. It just was told in like a short little video package, and I don't get that. Storm, I have winning here. I didn't pick my winner of the last match, but I'm gonna go with Death Triangle. Pac did the job to Orange Cassidy last week. I think he's going to get his heat back this week, and they're going to retain those trios titles. Toni Storm retaining the interim AEW Women's World Championship too. And then last but not least, tonight on the show, from what AEW is promoting, we have Chris Jericho versus Dalton Castle. And I feel like I have a polarized opinion on this match, and it's rooted in just pretty much all my negative analysis of AEW rolled into one match. I mean, this has it all, right? You've got Dalton Castle, who, yes, is a former ROH world champion. Like, okay, we got that. But nobody knows who this guy is. And I don't say that because the tried and the age old, tell us who it is. We need a vignette. It's not that. It's just that for this match to matter, you have to establish Dalton Castle. People have to know why it matters that he's in this match against Jericho, kind of defending the honor of Ring of Honor as a former world champion. I don't think this is a guy you just toss out there in a match against Chris Jericho for the ROH world title. Like, Chris Jericho's a big name. Just signed a 3-year deal. We reported it on PWTorch.com, an extension. First broke by Variety. Jericho's a big name. Like, this match should have like a proper build, a proper introduction of Dalton Castle, more matches under his belt in AEW to show people what do they know about him at this point, where they can say to themselves, yeah, I can see this guy as ROH world champion. Nothing, except that they're being told that. That's it. But you gotta have time for your audience to buy into these guys. Like, people didn't buy into Orange Cassidy overnight. It took time. And Dalton Castle's not the same kind of guy, but you just need to create the investment. That's what the goal needed to be here, and they missed the mark. Yeah, that is the entire point, for Jericho to beat a former ROH champion. But if nobody cares about that ROH champion, why is he different than somebody else? Like, then just like there's no, just because that's the story doesn't mean you got to that point in the story the right way. Like, you wouldn't just write a book and write up the start of the plot and then go to the end and then just say, well, it was going to end that way. Like, no, you got to tell the story. Especially in this case, Jericho beating that former ROH world champion means a heck of a lot more if you establish who he is in the ecosystem. And yeah, like, Azan, I don't necessarily even mean explain his character. I think it's less about the character and more about why he matters. Like, why does he matter? What does he mean to ROH? Why does it matter that he's this former ROH world champion defending the honor? Nobody knows right now. Nobody cares. And everybody assumes Jericho's just going to beat him anyway. So you want to give that thing a little bit of heat and actually make it seem like Jericho may lose, but it doesn't seem like they're going that direction. So I digress. Interesting, Amos. I think they want to get ROH over, then Jericho needs to lose to a former ROH champion that is a big name. Well, yes. I would challenge you, though, as to who is a big name. Like, who's a bigger name than Chris Jericho or an equal to name as Chris Jericho? Like, I mean, Danielson, I think, would fit the bill, but we kind of been there and done that already. Punk's gone. Joe, I think that could be certainly interesting without question. That would work. I think that would definitely work. But I don't know. I think I'd go about it a different way. I would use this as a way to get over some young babyface that you want to build Ring of Honor, like the new Ring of Honor around. Kind of like what Samoa Joe was to Ring of Honor in 2004. Like synonymous with the promotion that nobody really knew about. That wasn't like on online or on message boards back in the day, right? Like, I think you want to find that guy. You want to find that person. And Joel, you're cracking me up, man. Zach, clearly this is building to the triumphant return of Takeshita Morishima out of retirement. Dude, I would not put it past Tony Khan. I feel like that could be serious or that could be you could be joking, but either way, it's absolutely a reality that Tony Khan could be fishing to get him out of retirement. I don't know what his health is like, to be honest. I should Google that just to see where things are at. But yeah, that he would love just jump at any opportunity to get that match done. Boy, oh boy. Amos, oh wow, Zach, I'm correct on something. This is rare. No, just kidding. Zach, I think you're correct, and that is how I would like them to do it. But to have traction with a new weekly show, they have to have a big name. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a way to go, and I think that's what Tony Khan is thinking about right now when he has Chris Jericho as the ROH World Champion. Like, I think that's clear. But if you have a big name like Samoa Joe, for example, if he beats Chris Jericho, do you want him just to be on just Ring of Honor television? Because hopefully they split off the shows, right? And so that would be my only thing, is that you have this big name then that's kind of tucked away on ROH television. So that's the thing. He's had a lot of problems. If it happens, I'd be shocked. Yeah, I'd be shocked too. But I don't think for a second that hasn't crossed Tony Khan's mind. Man, he punched a cabbie in the face in Japan. Oh gosh, that's ridiculous. I know that's too well here in Chicago with our some key members of our Blackhawks hockey team many years ago doing the same thing and punching the cabbie in 2018. Okay. Not good. Not good. Okay. That's Dynamite. It's going to be a heck of a show. I think it's going to be a really good show tonight. Yeah, and I know reports today indicate that Paul Levesque really, really, really wants to beat AEW Dynamite in the ratings, but I just don't think that that's in the cards based on what NXT has. So let's jump in to NXT. Let's change gears here a little bit. And it's NXT/WWE main roster night because my goodness, there is a lot of main roster talent on the show to help, in Paul Levesque's effort to beat AEW Dynamite in the ratings. That's what this is about. So here we go. You've got Cameron Grimes picking up Gallows and Anderson, the Good Brothers, to face Schism. Does that move the needle for you? I don't think it doesn't for me. It doesn't for me at all. You're going to have Cameron Grimes versus Joe Gacy at Halloween Havoc. I don't know if that match is made official, but I'm sure it will be. but this is the thing with sending talent down to NXT to help bolster a rating, right? Gallows and Anderson are not, talent that move the needle, really, for any company. They've been in Impact and really have not had any God, I'm going to do this. They've been in Impact and haven't had any impact on the ratings. Boy, you guys can butcher me for that a little bit later. So there's no proof in the pudding as to they're going to move the needle at all. So I don't think this doesn't get it done. Cameron Grimes versus Joe Gacy has been what it is. The Cameron Grimes, he is great. I'm with Sean on this one. Grimes, I think, is a guy who can make it in the WWE. I think he could have made it in Vince McMahon's WWE. I think he can make it in Paul Levesque's WWE. I think he's just too talented of a guy. So whether he's asked to do some kind of segment, $1 Million Man segment, or have a 20-minute television match, he can do all that and everything in between. So he's going to be a valuable piece of the puzzle. But tonight, yeah, he's kind of tucked away in this tag match, and it should be a good match. And I think, to me, you got to have Cameron Grimes and the OC win. I don't think Gallows and Anderson are coming down to NXT and losing. So, yeah, you're just not going to have that. So I think in this instance, Schism loses. To Sean's point, this it hurts the main roster more than it helps NXT to bring these guys down. I agree. That's a very good point in terms of just the opportunity cost of using your talent on the main roster to bolster a lineup in NXT that's going to lose anyway. I don't know. It doesn't seem like that. That doesn't make much sense to me as to why you would do that. I don't know, because none of the people that they brought down are going to move the needle except maybe one, which we'll get to. Oh, let's just get to it right now. Kevin Owens announced, or WWE announced, that Kevin Owens would be on NXT tonight. They did not reveal as to what fashion, whether he's going to be cutting a promo or having a match or on commentary. Kevin Owens could draw some eyeballs, can pull some eyeballs over from AEW, I think. Not a significant amount, especially when nobody knows what he's doing. And certainly nobody can be invested in what he's doing because they don't know what that is. So I think that he is a good little hat tip to those who come on over and who watch NXT instead of AEW Dynamite Live. But I just don't know. I just don't know if what the situation is with how much he could really move the needle. Yeah, I mean, maybe he just comes out there and stunners a couple people and leaves. That might be the best use of him at this point to keep him relevant and to keep his momentum going without getting involved in an NXT thing. Or maybe I don't know, he's a former NXT champion, right? So maybe he has something to do with Braun Breaker. Azan's just saying that he's going to do the talk show. Okay, I haven't caught that yet, so that's good to know. And I think that could be entertaining, depending on who his guest is, especially if it is around the world title stuff. I think that would be a good use of him, for sure, down in NXT. No, he will not. Not going to be fodder for Von Wagner. Oh, Von Wagner is just terrible. It's just terrible. I beat him up constantly on my my post NXT columns and just feel a little bad about it, but he's just so bad. He's just so bad. Yeah, no, Zach, that's not happening. Don't put that out into the universe. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Okay. Also on the show, we have, let's see here. We have Oro Mensah with Wes Lee against Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. You're running the mill tag team match, guys, right? I mean, there's nothing too much to get into here. These guys are involved in the big ladder match at Halloween Havoc on Saturday, excuse me. So that is what it is. This will be a tag team match, and that's about it. No real deep storyline here. I'd put Carmelo Hayes, excuse me, and Trick Williams over. they're the bigger stars. Carmelo Hayes in particular is a bigger star. Treat him that way. Yeah, Melo don't miss. Good stuff is on. We have, let's see here. And okay, this is another mystery opponent thing. And maybe since we've been on the air, this opponent's been revealed. But Tony D'Angelo is gonna select the opponent for Stacks, Channing Lorenzo. Has that happened? I'm not sure. So it could be a surprise. But again, this is a spot. This is a spot for another, mid-card at best, main roster guy coming down to just kind of destroy Stacks Lorenzo. I don't get this match. I mean, I get it conceptually, like from a storyline reason why it's happening, but Stacks is gonna have to lose this thing, right? He's gonna lose this. Yeah, that's okay. That makes sense, Joel. Appreciate it. I think it's a surprise reveal, and it might be Tony D'Angelo teaching Stacks a lesson. Okay, I can buy that. So I don't know. So in that case, yeah, I was gonna say Braun Strowman. I was gonna say Braun Strowman. That he'd be an interesting guy to just come down to NXT, just destroy Channing Lorenzo, and onward and upward with that story. I guess that's how I would play that out. Good stuff. Thank you, Joel and Azan. Good stuff. Okay, we also have Sonya DeVille against Alba Fire, and ahead of Alba Fire versus Mandy Rose over the weekend at Halloween Havoc. Sonya DeVille last week got heavily involved in a match and interfered on behalf of Toxic Attraction, and now she's taking it one step further and going up against Mandy Rose's opponent at Halloween Havoc in Alba Fire. This is very, very similar to the OC coming down to NXT. DeVille coming down to NXT is okay, great. She's there. She's new. She's fresh. But is she going to actually do anything to draw viewers? Not really. So it's kind of like an exercise in futility. Alba Fire will win this match. I mean, I think you can take that all the way to the bank. Like, this is Alba Fire's match to win. She wins here, moves on to Mandy Rose. I don't think she's going to be your NXT Women's Champion anytime soon. So this is kind of getting that kind of win to get her through to the match at Halloween Havoc. Alba Fire's been a nice little surprise in even in NXT 2.0. Like, she had this gimmick in NXT UK that I don't want to say it was one note because there was depth there, but it was very much like just like a straight up wrestler gimmick. There wasn't much to it. There wasn't like any WWE flair to it. And not since she's been on NXT, like she's had that in droves. Like, I think the entrance is cool, the bat is cool, like the fire kind of being wrapped into what she does is really effective. So I think she created an act for herself, like from nothing, and now it's something that you can envision on the main roster pretty easily. So I think that's a really strong talent that can help add depth to your main roster at some point in time. So she's going to win this one. DeVille's doing the job. I know she's a main roster person, but it's just not time. It's just not time for that. And last but not least, guys, we've got the Pick Your Poison matches ahead of Halloween Havoc. Roxanne Perez choosing an opponent for Cora Jade, and Cora Jade choosing for Roxanne. And Roxanne chose Raquel Rodriguez, to face Cora Jade. And on the flip side, Jade chose Rhea Ripley to take on Roxanne Perez. And that's the match right there that I'm looking forward to most. Pretty much the whole night is Roxanne Perez against Rhea Ripley for a couple reasons. One, this is Ripley's first TV match back in quite some time. She wrestled over the weekend in Sioux Falls. She's been out with injury, and it will be fun to see her back in the ring. She's really grown a lot within the Judgment Day faction. I think she's come across as very comfortable. I think she kind of knows who she is now more than ever. Even in that like babyface run in NXT that she had, I think she's a lot more comfortable in her own skin out there now, doing what she's doing. And so for her to go up against Roxanne Perez, who I think has all the potential in the world to be a top star in the women's division. I mean, she's the perfect babyface for the WWE women's division. It's like, she's got a little bit of Bayley in her, but she's got a little bit of Sasha Banks in her too, and a little bit of Becky Lynch in her also. Like, I just see so much potential with Roxanne, and now we're going to get her against Ripley. I think Ripley will win this, and she probably should. She's a big main roster star coming down to NXT, so you don't want to have that kind of stink on her. But I also think that they'll use the match to get heat on Cora Jade. Like, that's, I think, the biggest part of this is that. Well, she'll get to dominate, and she'll get to be Rhea Ripley, and the end game will be her getting heat on Cora Jade and just beating down Roxanne Perez. I think that's how this goes, and I think it serves everybody best. It serves Rhea Ripley because she can be the badass that she is on the main roster. It serves Cora Jade because Cora Jade, set this match into motion, and it serves the feud for getting some heat and some sympathy. Heat on Cora Jade, sympathy on Roxanne. So I like this. I don't agree, you guys, Amos and Zach. I think, that's the story they're telling here. So Rhea's like almost the perfect person to pick. For if you're looking at Cora, if you're Cora Jade and you're like, all right, who can I pick that can make the biggest difference and help me the most going into Sunday? Like, why Rhea's the pick? So I'm totally fine with her being involved with this, especially in the way in which I think she will be. Look, if she jobs out to Roxanne Perez in 3 minutes, well, yeah, then that's a huge mistake. But I'm pretty confident that's not going to happen. And I think Cora Jade and Raquel Gonzalez will be similar in nature. I can see Cora Jade maybe getting the victory so that you can continually put more heat on her going into the PLE. So I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to say that Jade gets the win, but Perez doesn't. I think they've heated up their feud in a positive way. We got weeks and weeks there of just videos and hype stuff promoting this rivalry, and I never felt it with them. I just never felt like this personal grudge. Like, it always seemed like Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade both were gonna just crack up laughing as they went through some of the pre-tapes that they did. I just didn't buy the authenticity of them hating each other as much as they said that they did. And so I was kind of like grading it out at like C- level. And I think the last couple of weeks they've been able to build that up. And I think that program needs a good night tonight in order to take it to the pay-per-view successfully. I think it needs some good momentum, a lot like Jon Moxley and Adam Page needed that big kind of jolt of adrenaline into the arm of the feud to get it across the finish line this week. Perez and Jade needs that, and tonight may be able to serve as that. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that it will. I'm going to have to wait and see see how it goes. But that's for later. That's NXT. Kind of a weak show in comparison, right? to AEW. It could be a bloodbath. It could be a bloodbath. It really could. They just have look, AEW's got the better card. There's no surprise that it has the better card, though, right? I mean, we're talking AEW main show against, C show for WWE. So, that's the nature of the beast. You know, I think if you're Paul Levesque, thinking that you're going to beat AEW Dynamite with this NXT lineup is probably. I mean, I don't know how you could say that with a really straight face and really expect that to happen. My guess is he doesn't. My guess is he's saying it and that's it. It's just I just there's just no way. I just don't think there's any way that happens. So I think AEW gets a resounding win, and you know Triple H has to go back to just kicking butt on the other two nights, and kind of hanging his hat on that viewership being bigger than AEW Dynamite. But I digress. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. We went longer than normal, but we had 2 shows to preview. So it was a blast as always. Amos, Sean, Zach, Azan, and everybody else that chimed in. Joel, thank you very much. Fightful, appreciate you being here, man. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We will be live tweeting tonight, or I will be on my account at ZHeydornTorch, so you can follow me right there. I'd appreciate it. Also, as I said, subscribe to our channel. It helps us out big time if you guys do that. And we will continue to churn out the content. So every single day, new stuff right here on the PWTorch YouTube channel. So thanks very much. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you, everybody watching this on demand. I appreciate it. We'll catch you guys next time.